Chapter 19. Resisting Pirate Spread. Mid-morning, Day 2. We crawled back down to the stairs down to the 3rd floor, then got back in the yacht. I got my backpack back on, and Eyes got the yacht locked back up. As smoothly as we could, we got through 3rd floor, then through the 2nd, and finally down through the 1st floor. We could begin to hear the jet skis faintly humming. By then, they must be zipping ahead. I motioned Eyes to get down, and we crawled to the kitchen, where we have 360-degree cover and concealment from the jet skiers. Within moments, they are doing circles around the boat, trying to figure out where we were. I hadn't realized some parts of the plan, though, since I had to put them together so fast. Eyes must have figured it out first, because he scooted off for a moment and I heard a click noise, then he scooted back. I had to go and lock the door, Eyes said. Yes, good thinking, I responded. I thought about waiting until they got to the windows, then ambushing a set of them through the windows, but that would have given the next set too much time to respond and not enough time for us to get to them. Crawling over the glass didn't seem fun, and the noise report would give our location away anyway. Although first ambush would be a total surprise due to the reflective glass. However, if we were outside, they might see our reflections and shoot at those anyway and miss us entirely. Both ideas had pros and cons. I thought of a 2-stage, but they might see the 1st stage. I wanted to be able to focus all of our firepower directly into this area. I wish we had a 3rd person above us that could be waiting to fire straight down into them, but both of us were needed down here to be relatively safe for cover, move, and reload. Time was up anyway, so the decision made itself. No time to turn back. It sounded like it was just about time for the pirates to board. I heard the bigger engines getting closer, the 4 8-footers and the 100-foot trailing behind. I wanted to try to believe that the 100-footer didn't sound as healthy as it should. It was probably my imagination, and it didn't matter if they were able to capture the Anastasia anyway. I tried to listen all around to make sure there were no surprises, but there were motors from all around the jet skiers and several larger motors coming to dock. I motioned to Eyes that it was time to shuffle our way out to the windows to get eyes on the ramp and to get better ears as well. I was hopeful that the jet skiers wouldn't be able to see us. We wouldn't have a shootout as a last stand. If they got around us, I would call Parrot and we would fall back. So far, though, the pirates didn't seem to have some brilliant other plan to board. Don't know what they were thinking. I imagine they thought we were going to use the fear engine on them, so they would only send a few on board so they would trip it. Then they thought they defeated our kill zone tactic, so that would be the next thing. Well, I know Eyes here doesn't want to let them on the ship, so with that I heard some fumbling around at the dock entrance to the yacht. Eyes looked at me as if to say, what the heck? I imagined they were having issues with my Zodiac. I pressed a finger up to my mouth and pointed to my eyes and the direction to make sure he stayed focused. I imagined my Zodiac trying to defend the boat, getting in the way and impeding their arrival. It probably literally wasn't doing that, but it sure wasn't going to make it easy for him, especially since I had the hitch used up to tie the rope. I rustled my backpack to get Eyes' attention, pointed at him, and started a 3 count. He nodded, and I went ahead. I opened the door as quietly as possible, only opening a little bit so I could get through. I held it open so Eyes could do the same. He let it close gently, then we both shuffled to either side of the entrance, but back far enough away to where the pirates wouldn't have had line of sight to us from sea level. I quietly snapped the safety off my AR and waited. I could hear the pirates fussing just about 20 meters away with no clue that we were here. Me on the left side and Eyes on the right. They would be walking directly into another kill zone that they had absolutely no chance to deal with. I humored myself with the idea of rolling the water bottle out to them like straight out of a horror movie. Maybe get their attention to dramatically blast them away, but screw it. playing for keeps needed to catch them completely by surprise. And it looked like we would. Jet skis still circled the boats like angry bees, but they had no idea where they were looking. Every time I saw one out of my peripheral, they seemed more excited about the fact that they were zipping around in the water. Occasionally they would hoot and holler, make sure they weren't smashing into each other. There was also a lot of taunting about what they would do to us, but they appeared to be trying to yell up at us as if we were still up on top. Exactly what we wanted. It sounded like the pirates finally figured out who would come aboard first and how they would get aboard with my Zodiac being there. I heard a pair of boots and then another pair and another. I put out my hands as if to say wait. We want as many people on the ship as possible. They're going to be stuck in a corridor where their numbers aren't going to count at all. Instead of sending scouts up to check the boat, it sounded like they were trying to get the boat fastened and to help people get on the yacht. I guess that makes sense if it was a boarding crew. I had no idea how to properly board and take over a ship, to be honest. They were pirates, and so I had to take their word for it that this was the best pirate way to do it. I heard what I thought was a fifth pair of boots, and then they started tethering the other 8-footer. They knew there were 2 of us, so they were going to send a 4 to 5 man team up to get us, while people helped the rest board the ship. By the time that team goes up, there would be another team to cut off any escape we would have had. So they think they have us cornered up on the roof. That explains it. Then I started hearing them say that they were going to go smash their way into the roof to get us to be their new torture buddies. And then heard the boots coming up the stairs. They were coming up in 2s, it sounded like. We hadn't really discussed what the go signal was, but I was beginning to trust eyes on this. The guy on his side was slightly taller than the guy on mine, so I saw a forehead pop up out of my peripheral vision and then a nose. Thankfully, the guy on my side wasn't much shorter, and I saw a forehead on my side. As soon as eyes got to a nose, that was it, and the head on his side vaporized with an associated loud bang. Oops. Excuse me. I was anticipating this precise moment and had exhaled with my finger on the trigger ready to go. The guy on my side had a similar head vaporizing issue as well, only slightly higher since I had less space to work with. I had considered tilting my AR sideways to get closer to the ground, but I didn't want to make the noise to adjust it at the last second and give us away. The surprise party had been thrown though, and it was time to fight through. We both scooted up in a second, before the rest of the group could react. The bodies were still falling backwards on them, and eyes and I had opened up. The people behind them both got several rounds, as did the people behind them. A total of 6 more went down. I got my legs under me and took a knee and saw there were some pirates on the boats that had been providing overwatch but had been facing the wrong directions. Before they could swing around and start scanning, I took the 2 of them out as fast as I could and went back to the prone and scooted to my side. I didn't see any more overwatch, and the 100-footer was still a little further out. There were precision shooters on that ship, but it was at a weird angle, since they were expecting us to be up on the roof. They were trying to come to bear, but it would take a few moments. Instead of converging on me, this caused the rest of the boats to scatter that weren't docked. Eyes found some cover, and from it unloaded into the other 8-footer that was docked and put 2 rounds into each pirate that was inside. Afterwards, he popped back down so he was covered. They were unable to react to him changing positions that had been anticipating me to come down the stairs. "Cover me for a second, I need to scavenge," I yelled. Eyes responded with, "You probably have 20 seconds max." He popped up from cover and started firing down at the 100-footer, hoping to keep their heads down, maybe to get them to veer off. The 2 remaining 8-footers were falling back to the 100-footer. I ran down to the stairs as fast as I could and started throwing every weapon I could find up the stairs. You're supposed to do this with someone covering you in case the body springs to life, but there was no way to do this with a 100-foot boat barreling down on your behind in a few moments. I got out my knife from concealment and started cutting off straps of gear. Some of them had AKs and some of them had ARs. I grabbed them all and tossed them up to the first floor up the stairs. I also cut the straps off all the chest rigs, which netted us a bunch of mags. I tried to get 2 rifles and 2 rigs for both of us in case anything didn't work. It felt like an eternity, but I tried to get it all done in about 20 seconds. "Get up here now," Eyes yelled. I assumed that meant he was empty. I clambered up the stairs and rounded the corner just in time for bullets to start flying. I rolled out of the way and got my modest little knife back into its concealed sheath.